What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of That's Right, I Said It. We are at the homestead today. As promised, I took a vacation day because I'm officially jumped off of Kratom. I didn't take any Kratom yesterday. Trying to get you guys a view of the lake back there. Uh, as you can see, I'm a blessed man. I have a very beautiful, relaxing property. No immediate neighbors other than across the lake, which you can't even see them because the lake is a good probably 100 yards across. But anyway, as promised, I was going to do a quick update video about my jump this past weekend. That's right, you heard me correctly. My jump. Um, it's Monday morning, about 10 o'clock right now, and I haven't had any kratom since about 7 o'clock on Saturday. Saturday. So I'm a good probably 36 hours. Is that right? 12. Jesus, too early to do math. Um, Probably about 36 hours roughly since I've had any kratom. So yesterday I went the whole day, had absolutely no kratom whatsoever. I still slept pretty normally. Um, Not a lot of issue there. But again, I did like a slow taper that took me about 2.5, 3 weeks. Some would call that slow. I would say by standards of what is medically recommended, when tapering from something like an opiate, or something that's similar to an opiate. More times than not, they recommend doing it a little slower than what I did it. But I just have that extremist sort of mindset. I wanted to get it over and done with. Um, it's funny because I took the last once I took my last dose on Saturday. We actually had probably maybe 10 of the kratom pills left in the container, so we threw those out. So threw those out in the trash, um, somewhere where I'd have to literally dig through the trash to get to them, which I'm not doing. I didn't go through all this to go out there and dig through the trash for some kratom. So anyway, made the jump. Everything's pretty good. Energy is not too bad, but I will say, um, energy in a lot of ways kind of started coming back for me once I got down to the really, really low amounts. Because, again, kratom is one of those things that um, becomes like a sedative if taken in large amounts, and there's people out there taking 40, 50 grams. I've heard of people 100. Got a message from a guy today. Um, got a message from a guy today named George. George, what's up, buddy? Said he was up at one point after he started measuring it to 200 grams of kratom per day. I was like, wow, bro. And he's functioning, or he was functioning on that. He's cut it down significantly now, which awesome job, bro. That's great. That's great. I'm glad to hear that, and I want to keep up with his progress as well. Um, but that just goes to show you the kind of spectrum of what people are out here using. And when you're taking kratom, in that sort of amount, oh, it's deer. Hopefully, you guys were able to see that beautiful moment of nature. Uh, my wife actually registered our property as a wildlife habitat. She actually feeds deer, geese, ducks. As I said, we have a little lake behind the house here, so we get a lot of you know natural wildlife just wandering onto the property, and she puts out like deer corn and sunflower seeds and stuff like that for them. So it's really cool. But so anyway, where was I? So there's a full spectrum of people get trapped into this kratom trap where they get to taking these large amounts and these large amounts and large amounts, and then when they go to come off of them, they're like, "Holy crap! These withdrawals are serious, man, serious." Um, and so anyone can taper. If you're on a much larger amount, it may take you a little bit more time to complete a taper, but it's doable, guys. It's doable. And I've had so many people pop up on the channel recently and say, "Hey, thanks for your videos. I got up to this amount. It just got out of control, or I'm on the extracts, that sort of thing." And then people just saying, "You've inspired me to, cut my use down. I'm starting to taper now, whatever, this, that, and the third." And that's just, I need that. I want that. I want to see that for you guys out there, because I know how it feels to get caught into that kratom trap where you're just locked in this incessant loop of taking, 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 and then if you don't take, feeling like it's just a horrible feeling, man, to feel slave to something like that. So, I really want to see people out there curtail that relationship with something like kratom. Um, and I will say too, I'm pushing up towards 300 subscribers at this point. I'm not trying to promote anything on here. I'm just trying to give people a blueprint for all of those people who feel trapped out there by something like kratom. I'm just trying to give you guys a blueprint, from someone who's been through it. But you know, I also have the mindset that humans have the ability to adapt, and one of humans' greatest abilities is to adapt to new situations, adapt to changes, and it's no different than with something like kratom, But you have to. What the problem is, people don't give themselves time to break those habits and then form new habits, and then become good with, and to where that new lifestyle then becomes second nature, something that's just natural. The sobriety, the living without it, the doing things from day to day to day, from moment to moment to moment, without being under the influence of something like kratom or having to use something like kratom. And a human can adapt to that new lifestyle if given time, to break those old habits, form new habits. But in the beginning, a lot of times you have to go into autopilot mode and kind of force yourself, to just do things in a new way. And eventually what will happen is, through just the repetitive nature of how a human learns new things, you eventually get to where now that's your norm. Now that just comes naturally for you. Just going from day to day, moment to moment, second to second, without using something like kratom. But the problem is, people a lot of times give themselves 5 days, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. They're like, "Oh, I'm probably good now," and then they start they'll have a few tough moments and like, "Well, look, I quit. It wasn't a big deal, right? I was able to quit." And then they just end up falling back into the trap again and going back to it. And eventually you get locked back into that same cycle. And that's where the trap is. Give yourself time to adapt, and that's what I'm planning to do. Um, well, let me rephrase that. To say I'm giving myself time to adapt almost insinuates that I plan on going back and using again the kratom. I do not. I do not. I have no intention of doing that. Um, but it starts here, right? This is where it starts. Um, Day two, no kratom, and yeah, not feeling too bad. I mean, the energy's okay. Like I said, at this point, um, I will say probably the biggest thing that I'm seeing is just from moment to moment, kind of like, oh, what do I do now? Normally, right now, I'd probably be taking a dose of kratom, right? Or I would be looking at the clock, waiting till, what, 12 or 1 o'clock so I could take my second dose of kratom for the day, right? Um, I'm not able to do that right now. And so with that, you know, that's something that's kind of tough to deal with because, someone who is addicted and has been used to using kratom on a regular daily basis, that's that mind trap that kratom has caused you to, uh, manifest a lifestyle to where you constantly are dependent. You're in a codependent relationship with kratom, right? Literally, to where you can't do anything without the kratom, right? And and I've had a lot of thoughts recently. I've seen, and I go out and I'm like, I see someone walking down the street, with their family, a family of two or three, and maybe a young mother and a father, pushing their baby along in a stroller, and then the father's pushing. I saw a couple the other day. The father's pushing the stroller, and then the mom's walking to the side, and she has a dog with a leash on it, and they're just walking around, just enjoying, themselves. And I'm jogging, of course, trying to like beat these kratom withdrawals, and I throw my hand up and I go by them, and I think to myself, like, these people haven't taken anything, probably, you know. Um, Here they are in a natural mind state, enjoying something that should just already naturally be enjoyable, right? They didn't need some outside substance, to make that to make just being out in nature and walking and feeling the breeze, you know, pass over your body. That's something that should already be enjoyable, you know. And when you get hooked into something like kratom, and you get used to taking it all the time, and then you have this mind fuck that I like to call it, to where when you go to stop or curtail that use, you feel less than what you were before you ever even started taking it. So you're depressed, low energy, low mood, physical symptoms, almost like flu-like symptoms, that sort of thing. And so you get to a point where you can't enjoy things like just walking down the street, or walking through the woods on some hiking trails, and just looking at all the beautiful God-given nature that is out in front of you. You can't go and enjoy something like that anymore without using the kratom and getting yourself back up to that either baseline or that ground zero where, okay, I feel okay again because I've taken some kratom. And it becomes tough because when you first start to come off of it, the reality of all of that kind of just falls down on top of you as this massive weight, and you come to this very stark realization that, damn, I can't even go walk through the trails. I can't even go walk through the woods and get any enjoyment out of it, because I have this feeling of like anhedonia and, low mood, kind of depression. My body feels somewhat sick, and then people have trouble dealing with that. People have trouble facing that reality after coming off of something like kratom, and a lot of times they don't give themselves time, and they get extremely frustrated, and the next thing you know, they're using it again. You have to give yourself time to adapt, and that's something that I'm constantly reminding myself of, because I do have moments. I'm not having a lot of the physical withdrawals at this point because I did a pretty slow taper, and most any physical withdrawals that I had are gone at this point, but there's still the mental. There's a little bit low energy, that hasn't completely returned for me. Although I will say it's not been as bad as I anticipated. I think it's because I've done a lot of things right. I eat really healthy, fruits, vegetables, drink tons of water every day, intense exercise. I've been taking multivitamins, eating stuff like bananas, and I mean, you can just bananas, apples, cherries, ate some pineapple yesterday. I mean, I'm just all over the spectrum, taking vitamin C, doing all of these things to help, decrease the severity of any withdrawals and stuff like that, has helped a lot with energy and stuff as well. So, no, it's not been really bad in terms of that, but one of the biggest things is this period in between where my mind and my body has to adapt to a new way of life, you know. And when you stop, the period of time where whatever it is, 28 days to 21 days to create a new habit, 28 days in my opinion to make it completely permanent, you know. Not saying that you won't have any trouble outside and past that 28 days. Those memories are always going to be there of using, so you're always going to be subject to that, and need to be aware of triggers and being around people who cause you to use, or they're using this and that and the other. But at the same time, when you stop, there's that period of time where you're in limbo. Your body, you want to be to a point where you're not thinking about this every second. You're not thinking about kratom every second or using something every. You want to be to that point, but in the interim, your mind and your mind has not gotten there yet. you know so even though you want that, your mind is still constantly cycling towards that drug, towards that substance, towards that drug, towards that substance, constantly. And it's, you're always thinking about it, and you don't know how to maintain a normal sort of lifestyle without that substance, because that substance has become your norm, right? So what you have to do is you have to just go into autopilot mode. Find things to fill your time, make sure that you're not using, and just over and over and do that over and over and over until you manifest that ability, the greatest ability that all humans have, and that's to adapt. And eventually, you'll get to where that is your new norm. Now, not using is your new norm, you know? And I think that's where the patience comes in. Just understanding that you've put your mind and your body through a big ordeal. Um, and it's going to take your mind and your body, especially your mind, some time to readjust to live in a new way of life. Let's get real. It's a completely new way of life. Um, and that's that's kind of all I have to say today. I'm not just going to keep rambling on. I'm going to go spend some time with my family, because my wife and the baby are here today. So glad you guys got to see the deer. Glad you guys got to spend a little time with me at the homestead here. Um, been getting your messages and your thanks and just your testimonies, kind of your stories, where you are. I love that. The channel is definitely getting to a point now where I'm having trouble responding to everyone. I do read all of your comments. I want you to know that. I read every comment. There just are times it's getting to that point where I'm getting so many, and we're up to 260 subscribers. It's getting to that point where I'm having trouble, responding to everyone. But I know you guys understand that. I know you guys understand, and I do want you to know that I'm still going to address comments, as many as I can in a video, and we're still going to have that same sort of format with the channel. But I really appreciate all of your guys' encouragement out there. Starting on day 2 without kratom, pretty good so far. Nothing too detrimental to write home about. And just guys, all of you out there who are on a taper or have recently jumped, keep going. We are here for support. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't lose focus, and we're going to get you there. We're going to do this thing together. All right. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Peace.